Well, it's a big day here in Okayama. Well, it's a bit overcast though. Whatever the case is, it's big because we are here for the final race of the 2022 Hololive GT3 Japan Series. We will be deciding the postseason championship and to crown the Hololive GT3 Japan Series champion at this race here in Mimasaka. So obviously we're going to be taking a look into the track map once again to see what Okayama circuit is all about. As you can see here, it's quite technical, it's quite squiggly, but it has a good amount of straights. So basically it's an all-rounder track, but watch out for the Lexus and Honda because they are going to be the favorites heading into the final round of the season. So obviously we've got a 3.7 kilometers of racetrack, 11 corners in total, 54 laps for the main race that is about to be done here, and the target lap time maybe 132, but we've seen 131s before and 130s, so that lap time target has already been broken. And with that out of the way, we also want to take a look into the trophy that we are going to reveal to everyone here. Designed by Hanari Miyuki, up-and-coming virtual YouTuber, this trophy it will be awarded to the Hololive GT3 Japan Series postseason champion to basically determine the Hololive GT3 Japan Series champion. So you need to work hard to basically work hard for your pride and stride and all that stuff so that you can have this big WS trophy that you are seeing right here. So obviously, and then we have the qualified drivers for the main race here. Hofumi, championship leader at 308 points, will start at the best position possible to win the championship, as well as Count Gibbons in the 64 Roboco Lexus, although he's in a must-win scenario in order for him to get the championship win. Meanwhile, we also have Yoso Hernandez in the Sakuramiko Honda, second in the championship standings, 283 points. And basically all that stuff. But then we also look into some of the other drivers who have finally qualified. Matej Porto in his final Hololive GT3 start makes his first appearance into the main race, as does Thomas Snooks in the Shishiro Botan Lexus. Zeke Wimberly and Tony Bazinga surprised a good amount. Zeke Wimberly qualified on speed in the number 54 Hakuya Koyori Nissan last time out in qualifying in Split B. And Tony Bazinga surprised everyone by passing Thomas Snooks on the last lap using lap traffic as a pick to win the qualifying race and basically turn heads around. And also, we may also want to take a look into Lorenzo Ricci's final Hololive GT3 start, as he may bow out of the series after this race. And as for the championship context here, this is what we're talking about. Hofumi, championship contender and championship leader, sits at 308 points. Yoso Hernandez is at basically... Yeah, hang on, I just need to double check if we're missing out on something. Anyways, Yoso Hernandez, 283 points, a bit far back onto Hofumi by about 15 points. 16 points back is Richie Rod in the number 22 Shirakami Fubuki Nissan. And then we also have Lorenzo Ricci in his final Hololive GT3 to start, 274 points. Can he win the championship in his swan song race? Aquamarine Jensen, the rookie hotshot in the Minato Aqua Nissan, will have 251 points. He needs to score big, while the championship contenders in front of him will have to flop down hard. Chazan Reza, Andrew Tacos led, Hans Harry Content, and Daniel Bauer are also looking to try to capitalize off of their whatever left in the season. Bon Air though will not be contending for the main race because Bon Air didn't qualify for the main race and is therefore out of championship contention. Anthony Emanuel and Count Gibbons, tied on points for 11th and 12th, are also in a must-win scenario, needing all the championship contenders to score minimal points and basically either one of them winning a race. And Wallace Hart is definitely in a must-win scenario, and even then that doesn't guarantee him the championship. And you can see all the other championship contacts here as well. You can see the guys who have made it into the main race but are not contending for the championship, and then we see guys who are running 0 points still being able to qualify for the main race to try again for those points, like Jake Fox, Catherine Vasiliev, and Zeke Wimberly, and Matej Porto, as well as Thomas Snooks. Also, you may want to ignore the Ricky Contreras part because the Lapis Darkness Nissan has been announced due to Lapis Darkness already announcing her new idol uniforms. But that will be for another day. So with that out of the way, we're going to be transitioning to one of the most important sessions of the season so far, qualifying for the main race. And by qualifying for the main race, I mean qualifying for grid spot for the main race. So hi everyone, welcome to the stream. I'm Mama Shazan Reza in the commentary booth, and this time where I'm joined by Zeke Wimberly and Callum Gibbons, who was busy doing some OOR Pro, so he wasn't available during commentary last time out, but this time he is available. So both of you, welcome to the stream. What are your thoughts heading into qualifying?
G'day everyone, hope you're all doing well in this, well, my case, afternoon. Obviously, that championship is still quite wide open at this point, so a very important qualifying session for the championship contenders. You know, Fumi comes in with a sort of healthy lead, sort of the favourite coming in, but obviously set 12 championship contenders, so it's all still up for grabs.
And also we want to talk about guys who have made it into the main race for the first time, specifically guys like Zeke Wimberly in that number 54. And as you can see here in front of that Tony Bazinga car in that Kazamaroha Nissan, or let's see if we can get a better angle here. That pink Nissan over there, you see, that's Zeke Wimberly's number 54 Hakui Koyori concept Nissan. Obviously, Lapaz Darkness's car has been confirmed to be a Nissan after we've seen her idol after reveal last night. So with that out of the way, Lucky Contreras is going to be excited to try out this new car for the next season. But first of all, we're going to be talking about the present. So Zeke, your car's getting out on track. What are your odds?
Of winning the championship, 0. But I'm just hoping to maybe score a couple points for myself, so I won't be completely in 0 points. I probably won't score very high, especially with all the absolute talent going on in this competition. But points, I'm just hoping I might score a little.
And right now we're looking at some of the few guys who are about to finish the lap. So Gibbo, this is Lorenzo Ricci on his probable final Hololive GT3 start. Do some commentary on this lap, would you?
And through the final corner, setting stuff up for the first, I think it's, first hot lap. So I made straight here and head towards a couple of people coming out the pits already, so he's already getting impeded, so not a great start to this lap at all. He's stuck behind, I believe that's a Lexus, he's stuck behind at the moment, heading for the left-hander of Williams. I don't think this Lexus is going to get out of the way, so maybe the best he can do is take a slipstream heading into the back straight, but nevertheless going from the Moss S's and then into Atwood Curve. Hard braking zone, keeping it nice and tucked in, goes wide. Again, still impeded by the Lexus, so this is not really going to be a good lap. It's tucked into this slipstream, the most may get a bit of a head boost in terms of straight line speed, and was approaching rather rapidly. Is he going to go for the move? Yes, he is going down the inside. Not helpful at all for qualifying, but I guess a preview of what we might see from him in the race. Nevertheless, now he's ahead. I think it's still side by side. So I think it is still side by side at the moment. He's not taking the apexes at all. So that Lex is not really giving up that position. Now heading into red man corner. I think he's just now in front, but I think this lap is pretty much a write-off. So we need to go for another hot lap, hopefully in clear air. But now taking Mike McConnell to an ultimate corner. Keeps it nice and tight, then heading back into the final corner. This lap is definitely not going to be representative of his actual pace, so he's going to come down, try again.
So obviously Lorenzo Ricci not off to a good start there in the qualifying sessions here. He will qualify with 133.452. Obviously being impeded by Jake Fox in that Hoshimari Lexus, who just got out of pit lane. So basically got caught up in just the wrong time. But meanwhile, Hans-Henrik Heinz loses basically 3 seconds off on that second sector. So Hans-Henrik Heinz not in a good position to basically be in a high grid spot for basically stealing a lot of championship positions, as he will look to qualify a measly 135.862. But meanwhile, we're looking at Yoso Hernandez qualifying a decent 4th. And actually, we want to take a look at Shazan Reza, who has already set a provisional pole time of 139.08. Currently sitting, I believe, 6th in the championship standings. 244 points. He's going to need all the points he can get to basically get this W.
Shazran overall just has an amazing chance of pulling out through the championship. I believe just an overall very consistent ride through right now. Might have a couple slip-ups, but it seems that overall a very competent driver, and you can have high hopes, I believe. It's just this is a very important qualifying, to say the least. So getting first and setting provisional pole is just awesome.
And right now we also want to mention that Hofumi is currently the championship leader in 3rd place at the moment. And as it stands with the basically Richie Rod further back, and also, oh, but meanwhile, as I want to mention here, Lorenzo Ricci sets the fastest second and third sectors here, and basically puts that Hoshimachi Suisei Nissan on the front row. So Ricci is not going to go out without a fight. Obviously, Ricci 4th in the championship standings, 274 points. He's gonna go all out.
Yeah, finally getting that clear air for an actual Hololive. It doesn't look like it was impeded at all, so definitely more representative of the lap. And he's just only 2 tenths behind, so still in the hope for the championship here.
So obviously Lorenzo Ricci is gonna try to give it all he got in what should be his final Hololive GT3 start. He has mentioned that he has seen some lacking interest heading into the final round of the season, and he just wants to end this season on the high, and at that high might be winning the championship entirely, but with Sean Pauli ahead of him. Now Sean Pauli currently is sitting 14th in the overall standings heading into the main race so far. Obviously, he just lost out at John just a bit. I don't know if he can improve more on his lap time, but we'll have to wait and see. And meanwhile, we'll be taking a look at Hofumi. Let's see what he can do.
Quite a bit, I would assume. 3rd place right now on the standings. Right now, just an overall decent start within when the race starts, and with only 20 seconds of qualifying left, it seems Hofumi will just have a not necessarily guaranteed 3rd place, with a very high chance of just getting an amazing start, which could potentially like really limit the underdog's ability to, you know, score high points, because they need all of the higher places just to kind of fall behind a little.
And we'd also want to mention that while the underdogs are struggling, the top 5 are all championship contenders, from Shazin Reza to Taco's Led. Basically, all of them are basically still mathematically in contention in the championship. All of them are inside the top 10. It's going to be looking good for all these championship contenders, but none are looking better than Hofumi, who's currently qualified 2nd, when Richie Rod is only 7th. Yoso Hernan is only 11th, and Richie Rod, and Aquamarine Genso only 9th, but Lorenzo Ricci in 2nd. Lorenzo Ricci might have a chance to seal the championship as well, or at the very least, give Hofumi a run for his money.
Yeah, there's always the potential for him to come from behind championship win in the race. As you said, the championship, like, sort of leaders or leading pack per se, sort of a bit scattered around as well. And as for the underdogs, even for my own car, only managed 10th, provisionally 10th place. So not really going to be the best start for my car, and so it's going to be a very, very tough shot to have a chance.
And meanwhile, Shazin Reza basically crosses the finish line to finish his qualifying session. He will qualify on pole unless Lorenzo Ricci has anything to say about it, but he's still behind Sean Pauli, and that's not going to do him any favors. Aquamarine Jensen is not going to improve either. Sean Pauli and Jake Foss have crossed the line. Mateus Wonder Porto is one of the last few guys who have yet to basically cross the line. And actually, no, Mateus Wonder Porto is the last guy who's about to cross the line. And with that, the qualifying session will conclude with the Porto qualifying 20th. That is the qualifying session over. That's all sessions of qualifying sorted out for Hololive GT3 Japan. And we have seen Muhammad Shazin Reza score the most important pole position, might be the most important pole position of his career. It's only his 2nd pole, but it's at the track where he has won twice at. So right now we're going to be taking before we're going to go into the starting lineup here, I want to hear your guys' thoughts heading into the main race, and your thoughts on qualifying in general.
Yeah, it was a bit of a crowded qualifying session, many drivers being held up by slower drivers or those on their out laps, and obviously Blue Flag's not really enforced that well in this series, so some may have not got a representative lap in, so we might see some come up through the field, but we'll have to wait and see.
But currently we're looking at the pole sitter here, Muhammad Shazin Reza, currently in the best seat in the house to start this race. He starts the first. He starts in 1st place in that Himamori Luna Honda. Obviously wanted to bring home a win for the Luna. Lorenzo Ricci in his probably final Hololive GT3 start in that Hoshimachi Suisei Nissan. He will start 2nd. Hofumi, championship leader, 308 points, will start 3rd place. He will have the best shot of winning the championship out of anyone so far. Daniel Bauer, outside the top 5, but inside the top 10, he has a shot of stealing at least a few championship positions from this spot. But whether he will win the championship from where he is at the moment, we'll have to wait and see. Same goes for Andrew Togler, rocking that new ASCII logo on that hood of the car. on the ASCII Nissan. Qualifies a decent 5th. Kizuhara Leo wanting to score his first win for Murasaki Shion. Will start 6th in that Honda. Richie Rod, obviously currently basically a championship contender. 3rd place in the moment, will start 7th. Anthony Emanel, fellow Gen 1 teammate for Richie Rod in the Akaihato Honda, will start 8th. And then we have Aquamarine Jensen, the rookie that keeps impressing in that number 9 Minata Aqua Nissan, will start 9th. Calvin Gibbons, of course, needing to win this race to have any shot of winning the championship in 10th, as does Juan Suharto in that number 20 Shiranui Flair Nissan. Sakura Mikohana, number 35, Yosoro Hernandez in 12th. Obviously, 2nd in the championship standing. He'll have a lot of work to do if he wants to steal the win from Fumi at the moment. And then we have Hansari Khan, Ozora Subaru Lexus will start 13th. Sean Pauly in that number 56 Inagami Corne Honda will want to race for pride in 14th. Jake Fox and Hoshimori Lexus will do just similarly in 15th. Zeke Wimberly in the Hakui Corne Nissan will start 16th. And then we have the Mashdev and Bazinga, 2 Japanese registered drivers, who are not actually from Japan, racing for Aki Rosenthal and Kazumaya Iroha respectively. Now Tony Bazinga scored that last lap pass over Thomas Snooks on that qualifying session, so on that qualifying race. So Tony Bazinga is one to watch out for as well. Catherine Vasilyev, number 11 Sarapikora Honda in 19th. In that number 11 Sarapikora Honda. Matheus Porto in his first and probably only main race start in the Tsunamaki Watame Honda. He might be bowing out of the race, bowing out of the series after this as well, so he wants to go out on the high. Thomas News, however, still has a lot to play for in the number 43 Shishiro Bota Lexus in his first main race start. And Jeff Clark doesn't sell a lot of time due to having problems in his car while starting at the back of the field. So obviously, we haven't heard much of Zeke's thoughts before we're gonna start this race. So Zeke, I want to hear your thoughts as we're about to start this race.
My hopes of an underdog win are slowly diminishing, but I'm not going to give up quite yet. A lot happens, especially at the start of all the races I've been commentating, so I've kind of learned that, expect the unexpected. So for all I know, the giant pileup could coincidentally happen.
And that may happen for sure, as we're about to take the green flag for the final time in the Hololive GT3 Japan Series. It's not the final race of 2022 yet. But here we go. Shazin Reza starting on pole in that number 31 Himamori Luna Honda. The lights are on. Lorenzo Ricci alongside him in second. Who will be the championship at this race end? We'll have to wait and see as they all take the green. Shazin Reza having a very solid start. Look at Daniel Bauer on that number 66. Also Ramel Lexus having that stonking start there. After Ricci and Fumi basically have a lot of wheel spin. You can see Fumi drop down the position as well, as does Ricci. And there's a contact between Jensen and Gibbons.
Well, that's pretty much my championship gone.
And also Aquamarine Jensen as well. That has got to be an absolute heartbreak for Jensen after having such a promising first 3 races of the season, and it's now crashed out of the race entirely. What a start that has been for everyone here. As Shazin Reza leads, Daniel Bauer 2nd, Lorenzo Ricci in 3rd, Fumi 4, Leo 5th, Tacos led 6th, Eminel 7th, Hernandez 8th. After starting from 12th, Rod is going to try to defend, or at the very least attack, his fellow championship contender as they're heading into the hairband and into basically the double left-hander section here. Who's going to come out on top? We'll have to wait and see.
Well, it appears a coincidental pileup happened. It's just not in the way I perceived it to be. It seems it happened in the back, well, slightly in the middle actually, but it happened in the middle, kind of causing a little bit of pandemonium to spread out through the swing, and a lot of positions jumped and fell. This will be truly a turning point within this championship.
And currently we're looking at Shazin Reza currently leading this race. Fumi is only at 4 points. As it stands at the moment, 4th place only gives you 130. And with Shazin Reza leading, getting the maximum 200 points, Shazin Reza might just be able to win the championship, as Hernandez and Raw are below the top 5. So a championship upset might come for Shazin Reza after all.
Yeah, an upset indeed, and it's already eked out a margin of nearly a second already to Bauer, so Fumi's gonna have to try and make up a couple of places to have any hopes of still maintaining that lead.
And I really want to talk about Okayama as well. Okayama has a lot of basically tire wear, we have noted, especially in the qualifying races where we're not even halfway into basically the main race distance, which is basically in the lap 20s mark. We're seeing already lap cars basically impeding the leaders. So we did mention about this earlier in the stream. We're just going to mention about this again because that might decide on who's going to commit into what strategy and who's going to commit to the other strategy. And also, this can turn tides in the championship battle.
Yeah, as we saw from last night's spectacle, Tony Bazinga passing Thomas Nukes, I believe that mostly came from tire wear as well as the lap cars last night. But it's going to be really interesting to see how these cars are going to adjust these strategies because it's even longer than last time.
And we have Momoshita Reza setting the outright fastest lap of this race, 1:30.921 in that Himemori Luna Honda. Shazan Reza is currently looking to be unstoppable in that number 31 car, but whatever the case is, excuse me as I adjust the mic, Richie is catching up just a bit to Bauer, so the gap has kind of opened up a bit to 1 second as we're in lap 3 of this race. We're seeing another battle here between two Lexus cars, Laszlo Domashnev and Jake Fox ending into Willis and into Moss S. Domashnev is on the right, and then we have Jake Fox on the left. Sean Paul is going to pounce for a move.
Yeah, so it's still a bit chaotic in the midfield at the moment, still trying to sort themselves out, especially after the first lap incident, so still a bit congested in the midfield. As for the leading group, they've sort of broken out a bit of a margin to their own group, but still side by side here in this midfield. Lexus having a look at the inside, but I don't think it's alongside, but Domashnev still having a look down the inside. Takes a lot of curb, and we did see people tend to go side by side even through Revolver Corner, so both Lexus still hold it in there, still side by side. There's Wembley, now Nissan on Nissan, so we've got Lexus on Lexus and we've got Nissan on Nissan as well, so team orders or any sort of team camaraderie are absolutely out the window.
Out the window as well as everyone's going gung-ho on this final race of the Hololive GT3 Japan Series season. Meanwhile, we're seeing multiple side-by-side battles still between Sean Pauli and Jeff Clark. The Nakiri Ayame car and the Inagami Korone Honda are battling side-by-side. Will there be contact? The answer will be a slight no. I don't think there is contact just yet, but Jeff Clark almost went off track there. Obviously respecting the distance and boundaries between the drivers so that both drivers are able to continue with minimal, if not zero damage. So good respect there between Pauli and Clark.
It's probably going to get real uglier soon if I expect some of these battles to last for laps upon laps, but for now it's going to be keeping clean hands so far, at least clean doors anyway, but it's probably going to be a little bit more chaotic as the race kind of spans out a little bit.
And right now, we're going to be taking a look. We just take a look on Callum Gibbons making the pass on Mateus Wonderporter. Despite suffering massive amounts of damage, he's still able to have some decent pace there. Callum Gibbons already overtaking the Porto. And here's another battle here between the championship contenders. This could decide between who gets second place. Only 1 point separates between the 35 Sakuramiku Honda and the 22 Shirakami Fubuki Nissan. Any points gained in this position, any positions gained here, anyone who is ahead of the other, as long as it's not 14th and 15th, will decide who gets second in the championship standings. And right now, Yosoro is defending like absolutely crazy in that number 35 Honda. They're still side by side heading into Might Knight corner. Will both of them give an inch? The answer is a resounding no! It pushes Yosoro Hernandez. Oh, but Yosoro Hernandez is not going to take this thing lightly. The battle is going to continue. Now, Wawa's going to be in the mix.
There's some door banning going at the moment, and Sohato getting in on this battle as well. So we've got a three-way pack here. Sohato having a little look down in the first corner, and actually dives it right down. And I think just maintained side by side, but I don't think it's quite got the exit. The Honda gets the inside line back, and Hernandez takes back that place.
And currently, we're looking at some of the other battles here that we may want to pay attention to, like Jake Fox is currently probably sitting down, but Vladislav Domashnev is on the rise. So Vladislav Domashnev has been passing cars left, right, and center, and is now caught up to Hans Heinrich. We want to take a look into basically the progress chart here at the moment. The Mustang gains 5 positions. He started 17th, now up to 12th. Jeff Clark started last and is up to 14th place. So basically making use of everyone else's misfortune for your own personal gains.
Well, it's a kind of wicked strategy, but wicked strategy actually works in these, well, not very chaotic, but kind of landscape going on around here. We got a couple broke even, which is completely fine for me, and it just seems that it's gainers and losers, and as you said before, every position matters for the most part, as this can mean an incredibly higher chance of just getting just better places, and all it takes is one position to just pull it off.
And currently we're looking at the battle between Wimberley and Bazinga, 2 Gen 6 cars battling. Basically both of these cars are still concept cars. We still have 4 Hololive Gen 6 members who have yet to reveal their idle uniforms. One has already been revealed, and that's the Lapless Darkness one. Basically she runs a vest top, so you can see on the Adak-RMS Twitter to see the car's design, but it has been revealed as well that Lapless Darkness, the team bearing the Lapless Darkness colors and the car bearing the Lapless Darkness colors will be a Nissan. So with that out of the way, speaking of Nissan, looking at Fumi's already caught up to Richie, his fellow championship contender. Fumi needs 3rd or higher and Southern Reza to win this race for Fumi to win the championship.
Yeah, from before we're still trailing about 1.5 seconds, but it's got settled in now, sort of coming back into contention against Richie. Gap is still maintaining around 1 second, so probably just biding his time. But as Dimension F and Hines, side by side through, I believe that's a Revolver corner. Another Lexus on Lexus battle at the moment, still side by side, heading onto one of the few back straights. Neither of them yielding, and then soon heading back into Redman corner. I believe that's Hines that will have the inside line. And of course, the inside turns back into the outside, and so still side by side, neither of them giving up.
And meanwhile, there's another battle here between Snooks and Vasilia for 18th place. Snooks at the inside line heading into Redmond and into the uphill right-hander at Hobbs. I think Snooks has cleared Vasiliev, and now Gibbons is also on the chart with a mangled car. Gibbons is going to try everything he can to basically, at the very least, get out of the bottom, basically get back inside the top 10. So he's basically on a charge against Catherine Vasiliev.
It appears that there's just a huge cluster gravitating towards the end right now, which means if you're probably in the middle of a battle, someone's probably gonna try to take advantage of that and possibly do like a little sneaky dive bomb, jump up a couple places. But it's honestly pretty probable, but I'd love to see where those battles in the back are gonna go, because I think they're gonna turn like real kind of dirty in a little bit.
And Richie Rod, hang on, Richie Rod trying to make a move into Anthony Eminel on the inside line. And currently battling into Revolver and Piper, the 2 Gen 1 cars. The Sherry Fubuki on the left and the Akai Hato on the right. He has the outside line there. Richie Rod heading into Redmond. They are still side by side, but it looks like Eminel has a hair over Rod, but Rod's going to try to stick it around the outside, use as much grip as possible, but that will open the door for Hernandez to pounce. Basically sneak up on an attack, but Richie Rod still basically side by side with Eminel. There's also contact as well. Richie Rod is gonna try basically absolutely everything in his power to win this championship, even if it means pushing other drivers off.
What I was going to say is that looking at the leading grid, they're sort of lapping around the 31s and 32s, but in these battle packs in the midfield, the back you can see 33s or 34s, so like they're way down compared to leaders, and I'm thinking that maybe soon they might go for that undercut, try and get into clear air, not be in that traffic, and potentially jump a whole heap of the field.
And so we want to mention about one of the few guys who are racing in their final races of the Hololive GT3 season. As you can see here, the Porto and Vasilia battling for 20th place at the moment. Right now the Porto already overtaking Vasilia. Vasilia now down to 21st. The only guy who is down here is Aquamarine Jensen, who have retired from this race after basically being collected on lap 1. We'll have to take a look into the incident after the race, but so far we are only very young into this race, as what Zeke have often mentioned. And as you can see here, There's still a lot of battles here at the moment. There's another battle here between the two Lexus cars. Callum Gibbons is still flying, making passes left, right, and center, despite having a very mangled car. So Gibbons is definitely on the hunt for the championship.
It appears so. It's gonna be like fighting tooth and nail if Gibbons even wants a shot. But this comeback story is, while its success is rare, it is definitely plausible, and it's just gonna be a joy to see if Gibbons can really just reclaim his quote-unquote former glory.
And that former glory, we do want to mention that Callum Gibbons have basically finished second in the Split B Championship after losing it by only 24 points to then Yukihana Lamy driver, Putri Farakama, who has had a massive tear in the 6 rounds that she entered, basically winning 5 of the 12 available races. That basically cements her as one of the greatest in Hololive GT3 history. Meanwhile, as we're taking a look into MNL and Hernandez, MNL is falling down quite a bit. Now, obviously, MNL will have a hair on Callum Gibbons and basically breaking the tiebreaker and being higher in the standings here as in this race, but Hernandez is going to try to put a dent into it by trying to overtake that number 8 Akai Hata Honda, but that's not much of a story we're looking out for because they are backing out. He's not close enough. There won't be an overtake mate just yet. Meanwhile, Fumi is now getting very close to Richie.
Yeah, now finally still into that rhythm as Mitja's come further down and down as his laps have gone on, now less than around half a second now. Richie's still tailing back from second place, 1.5 seconds down, and as for the leader, still extending that lead over 6 seconds now, so barring any major mistakes, that lead should be pretty safe, unless of course lap traffic may play a role, but for me, I think the best option is to try and get that top 3.
Meanwhile, there's a battle between the Porto and Vasilia side by side. Everyone, welcome to the stream. If you're just tuning in, I hope you're enjoying this race here at the moment as the Porto and Vasilia battle side by side. It's the Pecora and Watame car battling heading into Redmond. And it looks like the Porto has the inside line into Redmond, but Vasilia will have the inside line over Hobbs. Oh, it's going to be pretty tight as we go on board at number 3 Tsunamaki Watame Lexus. And as you can see here, the Porto trying to have that solid exit, but Vasilia has the inside line. So Vasilia and the Porto again trading blows.
This might be a little bit of an inconvenience to mention this, but I'm starting to notice that through 16 to about 21, they're in a league of their own right now, as number 16, me, is currently about 16 seconds away from Sean Hawley right now, so they're basically fighting their own little battles over there. They're basically a whole new split.
And speaking of whole new split, this could trigger some PTSDs if we want to mention that, because there was a battle pack in the rear of the field, which basically made them slower than the leaders, and then the leaders are going to catch them. So there's going to be a lap traffic. Lap traffic is going to come for sure, but it'll come sooner or later at this rate.
Yeah, we did see some lap traffic play a part in Fuji, even for my own car, you know, losing second place because of being impeded by lap traffic. But with the shorter circuit of Okayama, they're set to catch them sooner and maybe even lap them twice. But that's of course if they don't get held up.
And currently we're looking into Vasilia and Snooks battling side by side. There's a good angle there to show these two cars heading into Piper. Vasilia holding on into the outside there, but Snooks having a better exit off of Piper and heading into Redmond. Vasilyev having the outside line. Snooks has the inside line, but that inside is going to be the outside and vice versa. Vasilyev has the edge over Piper. As you can see, there's a battle between Bazinga and Gibbons once again. There's multiple battles in the back of the pack. Gibbons really thought of that move heading into the basically Mike Knight, but think better off. Gibbons is on a charge here. He is or has already overtaken 3 cars already. But let's see if he can overtake Bazinga Wimberley. We'll have to wait and see.
It's potential. I don't think my spot's very safe. In fact, none of the spots in the back really are really safe, except maybe the Portos, which I believe is 21st, but it's again a whole new split, and as Gibbons said, I believe the cars in the back, I believe, are going a little bit slower than the cars in front, so I wonder if we're going to have a Snooks 2.0.
Yeah, Snooks 2.0, we mentioned earlier in the stream, Snooks had his one win-loss after leading the most laps, leading all but one, and that's the final lap. That's when Tony Bazinga caught to Snooks as he tries to tries to lap the traffic. You can see here the gap between the leaders and the guys at the back are already 1 minute in the 12-minute mark. So this is going to be very alarming for the race leaders because they are going to catch them very soon, and maybe earlier than what happened last time by. When the leaders caught up to the guys who were at the back of the pack, it was on lap 20 plus. They might be able to catch on around lap 17 and lap 18 at this rate.
Yeah, we see the rear pack there usually about even like 4, 5, or even potentially 6 seconds slower than the leader. And Rod's heading off.
Yeah, Rod had a bit of an off there. He actually took a lot of curve, having like a half spin, manages to catch the car back, and this actually caught. This basically allowed MNL and Hernandez to basically pounce onto that number 22 Nissan, who had just made that slight mistake. And as you can see here, the battle for second in the championship standings is still absolutely rife. And as you can see here, there was a slight mistake by Richie Rod. Took a lot of curve there, exiting Atwood. They take a bump, then basically upset the car, got into a house and manages to catch the car, but loses a lot of time and ground and is now under pressure from MNL and Hernandez.
Usually when this stuff kind of happens, car that made the mistake usually gets passed by about a car or two, but the fact that Richie Rod managed to just stand his ground and managed to catch himself, really awesome stuff. Although he lost some ground, they did manage to catch themselves and prevented themselves from losing a couple placements, which are super important in this race.
And Cal Gibbons really trying his best to pass the cars in front of him, but it's not to any avail at the moment. He had already passed the 3 cars, but those 3 cars are also fighting back to Callum Gibbons as well. I think the tires are starting to wear out. As we mentioned, tire wear is absolutely insane here in Okayama. When originally the ideal lap time is going to be at around 131s, high 130s, we're now seeing even the race leaders already getting to the 132. So tire wear is going to play an absolutely huge role, and this could play a hand into strategy on who might actually do a 2-stop.
Yeah, very much more technical circuit than Fuji, and very much high loading on all 4 tires, so for good balance of left and right hand corners, so sort of even tire wear all around. Kind of interested to see in the moment. We've known about this battle pack at the back as Lexus goes right off there. I'm interested to see where the leader is on track relative to this pack, because I think it's going to catch up very soon.
And speaking of the gaps here, we're looking at the gaps here. Already 1 minute and 16 seconds. I believe, sorry, it's 1 minute 4 seconds here. So obviously the leaders are not going to catch them sooner as we've expected. They might catch them midway into the race for sure. But whatever the case is, Gibbons is going to try his absolute best to defend here. As Reza pits, he is the first guy to come into a 2-stop.
It's gonna be really weird to see how this 2-stop works with all the tire wear, and I swear you never mentioned if the track was cold or not.
Well, if you look at the temperature section on the top right of your screen here, the ambient temperature is 15 degrees Celsius, and the track temperature is only 21 degrees. So there is a good amount of tire warm-up because of the high loads in the circuit. Meanwhile, Tony Bazinga and Callum Gibbons going side by side. I think they made some contact. I don't think they made contact because Bazinga actually conceded that corner to Gibbons, and now Gibbons is free to basically rampage around the circuit.
Yeah, and amongst this battle pack, Wimberley, while still right behind Polly, still managed to actually break away from this main pack here. So Wimberley sort of a bit of a no man's land at the moment, but my car may potentially be still on that charge and may catch up. And I think at this rate, considering the margins, I think 60 may be the best outcome, and obviously no chance at all for the championship.
And obviously we were looking at some of the other battles here. MNL and Hernandez are still in that battle, so Richie Rod have still broken away from MNL and Hernandez. Richie Rod is going to be a favorite for second place in the championship standings unless Fumi have a massive hiccup in his race that basically ends his championship chances. And right now, as you can see here, Rod is lapping at a 131. Eminem and Hernandez lap at a 133 because of them battling side by side. And Chateaubriand is just exiting the final corner to start his first proper hot lap since entering the pits. Is actually catching up into traffic.
Now, if Shaz and Redza can get through all the cars kind of blocking him, reclaim his first place spot, this would just be a huge win, as it will mean that he has the better tires, and hopefully the tires are warmed up by then, which they should be, and it's just smooth cruising until he has to pit again, in which case, repeat.
And we're looking at a battle here between Hans-Henrik Heinz and Vladislav Demashnev. These two cars are basically magnets. They're currently inseparable at the moment, and they're also catching up into Wawan Suharto, who is just inside the top 10. Hans-Henrik Heinz on the inside line, heading into the airpin. Heinz on the inside, Demashnev's on the outside. Ozar Subaru versus Aki Rosenthal. And it's going to be in the Ozar Subaru car's favor, but not yet, as Demashev has the inside line heading into Revolver and Piper. Demashnev holding on into the inside, but right now as it stands, the battle will continue heading into the third sector.
I think there might have been slight contact. Demashnev had lost traction to Revolver, but still all Heinz taking a lot of curb. They don't really want to do that. It really unsettles the car, but still keep it held on. Round the outside, still side by side, heading into Mike Knights. Either of them going to yield? No. No contact, no harm done, but they're still side by side heading into the final corner. Two wheels.
Yeah, there's two wheels there for the Demashnev. Basically took a lot of curve, and that Lexus has a massive amount of airtime there. Apologies if the camera just cut into another onboard, as Jake Fox is seizing the opportunity, as does Jeff Clark and Sean Pauly.
It's a bit scary racing, as we just saw with the two-wheeler going on, but a stunt, by the way. But it's just a huge thing, and it's like almost side by side, and I can't really tell because there's a lot going on right now. But hopefully it'll like narrow down clearly in a couple laps or so, and we'll keep you posted.
And the chance of Daniel Bauer catching these cars sooner or later is going to rise by every lap they pass. And as you can see here, more battles left, right, and center here. And as you can see here, the Honda, Sean Pauly already side by side with Jeff Clark. Nakira IMA versus Nagami Coronet. The Coronet car on the inside line. But the IMA car on the inside line heading into Revolver and Piper. Jeff Clark and Sean Pauly holding on to positions. They are basically, Sean Pauly is trying to defend 14th place, but he has the exit. Not quite, but he will have the car, the angle. Will he make a dive out on the inside? No, he cannot. So Jeff Clark manages to hold on to 14th place.
Yeah, the Lexus just having the better drive out the corner. There's another observation from my car in 17th place. Is still catching up to Wimberley, but that's not the really important one here. Despite my bias to me, still right behind Richie, just about 0.3 of a second. So I think it's still a net 4th place, assuming that Chosen Red Star doesn't have many issues going through traffic, but is actually currently stuck behind Hernandez by the looks of things.
Hernandez and MNL as it stands at the moment. Remember, if we look at his previous lap time here, the lap time was a 1:34.386. So he is being held up by Yosoro Hernandez and Anthony MNL, and that's gonna play in Fumi's favor actually, assuming that Shazzy Reza is still being held up in traffic, as obviously the championship is still wide open between the two championship protagonists.
So I think Redza. Well, I was going to say wait it out, but it seems Redza is on the charge right now, passing Hernandez, but I think this battle isn't over yet.
But actually, it is over, actually, because...
It's over, actually. My bad. Camera.
Meanwhile, as we were about to take a look at the Daniel Bauer, here is Thomas Snooks. He's already at the Williams corner. Bauer is just exiting turn 1. So there's a good chance that Bauer can actually catch up into traffic. But meanwhile, Fumi and Richie are keeping each other in check. Both of the Gen 0 cars. Fumi in that Tokin Rosora Nissan, and Lorenzo Ricci in that Hoshimachi Suisei Nissan. Both of them are going hammer and toms in their most important races of Hololive GT3 up to this point. Fumi able to challenge for a championship, and Lorenzo Ricci gonna be bowing out of the series, well, most likely after this race, so everyone has a race to prove. Meanwhile, Shazin Reza is catching up to Anthony Emanuel, and he's still being held up, and as you can see, his previous lap time was a 133.838, but meanwhile, the leaders of lap times are on a 132. So obviously Shazin Reza obviously losing a good amount of lap time, pitting early and being stuck in traffic. So hindsight is 2020, and obviously Shazin Reza wasn't able to see that hindsight.
I think the leading group will make the smart decision. They're set to catch up their back markers in probably 2 or possibly 3 laps time if they keep up the pace, and maybe by then they should be thinking about making their pit stop.
And currently looking at Daniel Bauer, he is still barreling down the racetrack, and that number 66 Yozoramel Lexus leading this race, as what Azad had done in Split B last April when he was driving the 66 car. Meanwhile, Fumi and Ricci still keeping each other in check. Both of them is still setting that 132. Obviously, they're already a second faster than Shazin Reza, so this will be playing into Fumi's hands very well.
It's a little bit scary seeing Bauer kind of really just slowly inching its way towards the traffic ahead of him, which could very potentially just, and by potentially it means it probably will.
It probably will.
Just the whole race.
Yes, correct. And currently we're looking at Thomas Snooks. These are basically the lap cars. What you're seeing here are basically the back of the lap cars. These are the leaders. So the leaders are absolutely catching up to the back of the pack soon, and it should be around lap 20 or lap 21 when the leaders run into lap cars.
Yeah, and as we mentioned before, blue flag rules not really enforced here, so they're not really under any obligation to get out of the way, as Shazin Reza still stuck behind him, and all 3 tenths behind him in the slipstream on the back straight hand towards the hairpin. Might have a little look. He's having a little look. He's probably going to go for a big dive here down the inside into the hairpin. I don't think the move's quite going to stick, so they're going to have to go around the outside revolver as everyone has usually done. No one's been able to make the move stick through the hairpin, as Emmanuel's still defending hard.
Meanwhile, Daniel Bauer and Lorenzo Ricci peeling into the pits as well. Bauer making this very, very wise move to pit as he gets into lap traffic, but he might have to stick to that one-stop strategy. Meanwhile, Shazin Reza and Emanuel still going side by side here. Shazin Reza finally clearing Emanuel. And actually, there's a battle between Fumi and Ricci. They were battling side by side for the race lead, and now Fumi is leading this race.
It seems Fumi found that opportunity in the pitting and decided to snag first place from Ricci. I'm wondering if this was like all planned, you know, just kind of keep the distance and then just take first place whenever Bauer and Shazin pitted. It just seems like a masterful move, at least in my brain, but I'm wondering if that'll catch up when eventually Fumi has to pit.
And currently Bauer has exited only a whisker behind Shazin Reza, so Bauer's doing a very good move there to basically pit on lap 20 as he's about to catch the lap traffic, and I think he might commit to a one-stop strategy because I think he might be fueled until the end. But Shazin Reza, due to him pitting earlier, he might have to commit to a two-stop strategy, but with his final stint, he will have the most freshest tires out of anyone so far, and at least anyone will run the one-stop strategy, that is.
Yeah, of course, like being held up behind that traffic, and I think it was around a 10-second margin before Shazin Reza pitted, and now that reduced to around 5 to 6 seconds, so definitely losing time as Ricci's still behind Fumi. And I saw someone going to the pits. I didn't quite catch who that was, but some people are already making their pit stops.
And as you can see here, in front of Fumi is Mateus Juan de Porto, who is on the verge of being lapped. And Fumi is definitely on the charge here. He's currently being held up. Lorenzo Ricci is sniffing for an opportunity to pass his Gen 0 teammate and Nissan teammate as Lorenzo Ricci tries to make a move around the inside, but there's not enough space there. Ricci trying to make a move there against Fumi, who is currently being held up by Mateus Juan de Porto. This is the part where lap traffic plays a role in this race.
Not even halfway through, and we already got lap traffic. This is sure to just absolutely bring everything down. It's gonna be just this huge cluster of just car up on car. It's gonna be, at least what I envisioned, to just be this giant like mosh pit of just places changing and changing. It's gonna be chaotic.
And currently we see Fumi already clearing the Porto, but this will mean that the Porto will want to try to defend that position as much as he can. Again, anything into Revolver and Piper, and this will open the door for maybe Richie, as they're still side by side actually heading into Redmond. Oh yes, Richie's sniffing for an opportunity for a move. Fumi's being shuffled around the outside, but we'll have the inside lane heading into Hobbs. He has the traction, and the Porto is currently being shuffled off. Will Richie be able to clear him in time? Richie goes down the inside. That's not the angle we're looking for. Richie! Oh, I think makes slight contact. I don't think makes contact at all with the Porto, but manages to keep his car in one piece. Obviously, we're not even halfway into this race, and Richie needs to think about having his car stay clean.
Yeah, just backing out the final corner, but got the better exit there. So now it's past the lap traffic, but it's obviously lost time to Fumi, and Fumi losing time as well as Shaz and Redza. I think on pace has now gone back into the 31, so definitely making use of that clean air.
And with those fresher tires as well, as he's committing to the aggressive two-stop strategy. As you can see, Shaz crossing the finish line right now. It will be setting a 1:30.944, obviously 3 to 4 seconds faster than the current leaders at the moment. So Shaz Rizza is going to be looking to steal the opportunity as well. And here we see battles between, well, the Lexus car. The Mashaf has passed a few good amount of cars. Then there's also Hans-Harry Kynes actually. Hans-Harry Kynes is peeling into the pits, but there are drivers going side by side as well. Jeff Clark trying to go for the offensive against his fellow Lexus teammate Vladislav Mashnev. And here we see some of the other battles here at the moment. Jake Fox and Sean Pauly. Obviously, they are still in the hunt for points, but more points the better. But the more points the merrier. As Lorenzo Ricci have caught up into Fumi once again, and Bazinga trying to give Fumi a run for his money. But let's see if Richie is able to clear Bazinga as early as Fumi had done, because the gap has now opened up just a bit. The gap have closed up just a bit, and now Fumi peels into the pits.
It's fairly interesting turn of events for Fumi, just trying to pass lap traffic. I'm just gonna have to do it again, I'm assuming, but for now, this is a victory for Richie right now, as currently comfortably sitting in first place, although it is probably going to be short-lived as they have to turn into the pits soon.
And here we see both Fumi and Kizuhara Leo peeling into the pits right now. Richie Rod and Shadran Reza are still barreling down the main straight, and Manel and Hernandez as well. But here is Daniel Bauer getting into the final two turns, and we want there's also more battles here at the moment. For Lamasha taking a look at the car that is in front of him, that's Waman Suharto. Bauer just barreling down the main straight. Fumi just has his car out. He manages to exit ahead of Daniel Bauer, and crucially, still behind Mohammad Shazin Reza, but not at an extent that he is at the moment, because Fumi is going to be committing to a one-stop strategy, and Shazin Reza is committing to a two-stop.
And I believe that might be a net second place once the rest of it, because obviously Richard's got a pit as well, so maybe net third or net second, so potentially in the position needed to maintain that championship lead.
And here we see a dive bonded by Jeff Clark heading into Atwood corner, battling against Vlaza Damashna. The Ayame car is on the move against the Aki Rosenthal car. Clark is now up inside the top 10, but will he hold on to that position for long? And as you can see here, Damashna is going to try to fight back, heading into the hairpin, as well as Wawan Suharto against Thomas Snooks. Basically, Suharto and Snooks have a history of each other battling at Boyer Ramp last May. They're going to be reenacting here again in Okayama, as the Mashnev and Clark are also going side by side as well. Meanwhile, Kizaru Liu is clearing Sean Pauly with those fresher tires.
It's a lot going on within the middle section. It's always been a warring period right now. It's just giant clusters. It's just kind of hard to put my hand around, and we got Clark falling down a couple of positions, I believe. I think it's an accidental mess up or something. I can't really tell. Sorry.
Well, whatever the case is, the battle is still rife here. Suharto has cleared Thomas Snooks there. Thomas Snooks already a lap down. And obviously we have the Mashnev and Clark and Fox as well. A lot of cars battling hammer and tons for position. Southern Reza is now closely catching up into Richie Raw as he's about to finish his second stint. He's about to pit one more time for this stint for him to run in the end. So Southern Reza absolutely being being very aggressive on that second stop, on that two-stop strategy at the moment. Gibbons and Wimberly side by side as well, as he has cleared Wimberly because Wimberly is currently in the pits.
Yes, Bonca still charging up through the field, and hopefully you have a good pit stop there, Wimberly. But as for the leader, still stuck behind Rod at the moment, so being held up again, but set to pit soon. So kind of interesting strategy call. So it was like, what, 2 kind of short stints, but now going for the second half of the race on the 1 stint. So those tires, especially the second half of the race, are going to be absolutely worn by the end.
And currently we're looking into more of the shuffling in the field at the moment. We want to take a look into the gaps here at the moment. Wimberly have officially gone a lap down, as does Catherine Vasiliev and Thomas Nukes, and also the Porto and Bazinga as well. So Hans-Henrik Heinz is still the last car on the lead lap as it stands, but we'll have to wait and see on the progress chart on some of the other drivers, as Danny Bauer have caught up to Fumi.
It's gonna be very interesting to see what's gonna go on between Bauer and Fumi. Both recently had their cars serviced. It's gonna be about even. It's really gonna see how they can exploit each other for their own game during this. But for now, I believe that the gaps are clean enough that nothing will really happen, at least this lap.
And looking at some of the other battles here right now, Shazin Reza trying to go for the offensive against Richie Rod. Obviously with that Honda and that Nissan straight line speed, Shazin Reza will have a tougher time trying to pass Rod, as he's currently at the end of his second stint and will be preparing to pit for his final stint. Also Hernandez trying to basically pile in the pressure onto Anthony Emma, who's currently inside the top 5. Obviously both of them have yet to pit. So this could be a battle that we might want to pay attention to.
Yeah, as Richie now pits as well, so some going for the sort of even 50-50 in terms of splits, and so definitely some very strategy from the field. And as you mentioned, Shazin Reza yet to pit pretty soon, so it's very critical that Shazin Reza comes out in clean air.
And meanwhile, we just take a look at Lorenzo Ricci, who have just pitted. His battle is with Fumi at the moment. Will he have enough time basically in front to stay ahead of Fumi? We'll have to wait and see. But the answer should be yes, I guess, but it's quite close. But Fumi is now ahead of Ricci as well as Daniel Bauer. So Daniel Bauer will have a quote-unquote net third, unless Shazin Reza has anything to say about it on that final stint.
It's with Fumi now having a placement against Ricci, it's gonna be a lot easier for Fumi to just gain up those positions that Ricci just needs right now, because I believe they're not very far behind Fumi, so Fumi needs to put as much distance between themselves and Ricci as possible.
And looking into the Mashnev as well, he is caught up to Juan Suarto once again. Thomas Snooks currently the last car out on track. As we mentioned, Aquamarine Jensen got crashed out on lap 1, tangling with Count Gibbons, unfortunately, but we'll have to look into replays to see what happened at the end of the race. Meanwhile, we're seeing a battle here between Zeke Wimberly and Shazin Reza finally peels into the pits. They were going side by side here, as Shazin Reza was about to lap Wimberly, but Shazin Reza obviously gonna need to service his car for the second half of this race.
Yeah, very critical pit stop coming up, very important to come to clear out. So he said, believe that Fumi, Bauer, Ricci, they're possibly going on the one-stop straight. I think they're fueled up towards the end, and Shazin Reza is going to need to do a lot of catching up.
And by a lot of catching up, I mean a lot of passing and a lot of overtakes with those super fresh tires ahead of against everyone else at the moment. The Mashnev is, and you can see more drivers pitting. As you can see here, Juan Suarto also appealing into the pits as well. As we can see more battles here as Daniel Bauer tries to pull in the offensive onto Fumi actually. And will there be enough? Daniel Bauer has a good exit there off of Atwood, but Fumi will have the straight line speed. Who will be ahead of each other heading into the hairpin? It's going to be tight, but it looks to me that Fumi will have the basically the hairpin ready, but they're still going to be side by side.
So gonna be side by side for a while right now, but I think Bauer has a slight advantage. But no, Fumi still manages to put up a fight right now, even on the corners right now. But now we got another slight straight. This will be crucial. No, Bauer had the inside line. Still does. Looking like it's in Bauer's. No, Fumi. You can see that straight line speed going on from Nissan's right now. Seems still neck and neck right now.
Oh, there's contact there between Fumi and Bauer. Yes, a bit of a minor contact, but they're still going forward. They're still side by side. They're side by side for nearly the entire lap, and this will allow Lorenzo Ricci to basically pile in the offensive.
Yeah, Ricci rapidly catching up to this group. Fumi and Bauer doing 33, 34s, and Ricci in the 31. So Fumi and Bauer definitely holding each other up as Fox comes into the pits as well. And Fumi still, I think, just ahead at the moment. So yep, just keeps on that margin going into the hairpin, hoping for a better exit this time around.
It's Fumi versus Bauer at the moment for what should be the net race lead at the moment. And remember, it's Fumi. And please, if you're watching this stream right now, share it to everyone. Leave a like and subscribe to this channel. And also ring the bell for notifications so that you will not miss any Hololive GT3 races, because this has been a very cracking race so far for the championship at the moment. Oh, there's some slight contact. There's a bit of a tire screeching here between a few drivers now. Fumi is trying to clear out Zeke Wimberly, who is now gone down a lap still. And now it's a three-prong race for the race lead.
It's gonna be really weird with me in the mix, but I think I'm pretty easy to pass. That didn't really last long, but it still slowed them down enough for Bauer to really gain a couple on Fumi, but it's not gonna be enough to really initiate a offensive maneuver right now. But it's still almost definitely still in the air right now.
And here
it's just a matter of time.
It's a matter of time indeed, as Hernandez peels into the pit. Stockoslet, Rod, and Eminal have yet to pit. Fumi have already pitted. Bauer has already pitted. Ricci has already pitted, and they're already caught up into basically guys fighting for position, but they're not on the same strategy at the moment. Hernandez and Clark have already pitted, as we're already crossed through the halfway point of this race. Only half a race to go to decide the Hololive GT3 Japan Series season.
As we look at Shaz and Reds, and they're just looking at the gaps at the moment, is now stuck behind Polly at the moment, lapping 4 seconds faster in the last lap, so definitely being held up. The fresher, well, it's definitely caught up now with the fresher tyres, but whether he can pass them quickly, that's yet to be seen.
And currently Fumi is going to be held up once again by Eminel. As you can see, Ricci on the move on the inside against Bauer. Ricci is going to try to go out on a high. Remember, it's his final Hololive GT3 start for the foreseeable future, unless he confirms his commitment for the next season. But whatever the case is, Charles Thompson will be ready to replace Lorenzo Ricci if he does leave in the Hoshimachi Suisei Nissan. Bauer on the inside, Ricci on the outside, but we'll turn the other way around, heading into Hobbs Corner. And currently, Ricci still having the inside. Will he be able to clear Bauer? The answer will be yes! Bauer has the Lexus clear, but he has taken the corner way too deep. And now Bauer's going to try to go for that counteroffensive.
Constant back and forth between Bauer and Fumi right now, but it seems Ricci's kind of trying to get in a Bauer right now. It's almost side by side, I believe, but now we got a little bit of passing going around between Ricci and Bauer right now. It's decent exit, but I think Bauer seems Bauer's won this conflict.
Bauer's won this fight battle right now, but remember, Fumi is still stuck behind Eminel in that Akaihato Honda. 3 drivers who are still in front have yet to pit in this race. Meanwhile, Daniel Bauer under pressure from Lorenzo Ricci. You can see that Nissan straight line speed absolutely OP in that car against all the other 2 car manufacturers in Hololive GT3. Ricci is in the inside once again. Let's see if his move can stick.
Nissan making use of that slipstream and straight line speed, now side by side through Revolver and then through Piper. Still just side by side. I think the Lexus has gotten a slightly better exit. Just going to try and hold on to that inside line, but of course that inside is going to turn into the outside. Can't quite see what out from this camera angle. Still having a look on the inside through the head and holding that inside now through the penultimate corner. Oh, that was definitely hard contact there.
There was a hard contact, but both of them are still a game. The both of them are still in the race right now. Richie needs to clear Bauer as soon as possible. But look at Daniel Bauer trying to swerve down to the inside to think of a move. Looks like Richie has the 66 Lexus cleared.
It's a very tough battle fought between Richie and Bauer, with some definitely not soft contact going on, but Richie still managed to pull on top, and I'm praying that damage is only cosmetic.
We just hope that the damages are only cosmetic indeed, as Fumi is still being held up by Anthony Emanuel, and as you can see here that Honda still has some kind of pace in that car. Meanwhile, Suharto and Clark battling side by side into Mike Knight. Respect between the two drivers. The 20 Nissan is being shoveled on the outside, but we'll have the straight line speed heading into turn 1. So now Suharto in that main straight using the slipstream and that Nissan energy, the Nissan power, but it won't be enough. Clark takes 14 so far.
Yeah, it just seems that Lexus gets slightly better traction out the corners as Jimenez makes the overtake on my car. I believe heading onto the back straight as well. It's a bit of a Congo line at the moment here, so a little bit of training that Shazza Redza is caught up in as well, for that matter, behind Polly. So not really helping in trying to catch up as Taiko Sled now pits, and Jimenez will now take the provisional lead at the moment. Well, actually, Fumi and Jimenez actually battling at the moment.
And actually, MNL has already pitted for finally, so that will leave Fumi in clear air. It's still a 3-horse race for the race lead. Bauer's now back up into Richie at the moment. Bauer is definitely gripping in the corners, but Richie is a definite monster on the straights right now. Richie is on the move to try to catch up to Fumi, and as it stands at the moment, with Fumi leading, he will be winning the 2022 Hololive GT3 Japan Series Championship.
Well, one can only hope. I wouldn't just give out trophies right now. We still got about more than 20 laps to go right now. It's going to be just interesting to see what's going to happen to Fumi's tires as the race progresses.
And meanwhile, Shazin Reza is still struggling to pass his fellow Honda teammate Sean Pauly in that number 56 Inugami Korone Honda. Shazin Reza really needs to have that exit that he sorely needs. I don't think Sean Pauly has pitted just yet. Shazin Reza has pitted twice and has caught up into traffic, but Shazin Reza finally has the grip at the exit. Let's see what Shazin Reza can do against Sean Pauly. As you can see on board the number 56 Honda, but they're all even Stevens hitting into the hairpin. Shazin Reza still not close enough heading into the hairpin. Sean Pauly not doing Shazin Reza any favors in this championship.
Yeah, not doing any favors indeed, despite the fresher tyres, just not really making any inroads on the field. And we can actually see, look at the gap. So obviously next after Polly is Rod, who's then 11 seconds behind the next group. So I think this championship is slowly slipping away for Shazin Redza.
Not looking good for the guy who had dominated the split A standings up before the 200-point penalty. Shazin Redza absolutely desperate for position, trying to go for all the real estate that's available right now as Sean Pauly finally pits, but right at the point Shazin Reza might just be slightly disappointed, but at the moment he still has over 20 laps of racing to go. Shazin Reza needs to keep his head down.
It's also going to be really, as we've said, Reza, the championship is not looking good right now, especially looking at Rod's 12-second gap right now between him and Taco's lead. It's going to be really tough for Shazrin to catch up right now.
And as you can see, Shazrin's previous lap, 136.191, with the leader setting in at maybe a 133, 132. So Shazrin needs to have a lot of work to do to basically pass multiple cars.
Yeah, I think the only hope he has is to like get back into the 1:30 that he has done before, but of course the tyres taking a very long final stint over about half of the race distance, so those tyres are going to be absolutely shot by the end, so potentially going to be losing even more time towards the end.
But meanwhile, the battle for the race lead has strung out slightly, with Fumi, Ricci, and Bauer lapping into the low 132s. Meanwhile, we are seeing Vladislav Tomasha, one of the last guys who will be pitting this lap. Sean Pauli have exited only a whisker ahead of the points. Gibbons has his damage repaired, but is basically essentially out of title contention. Meanwhile, as we're looking a look to Hernandez and MNL, title contenders in Split A back earlier this year, now battling for the postseason championship. But at the moment, Hernandez wants to defend his second place. But at the moment, with Richie Rod ahead, Richie Rod will be in a position to steal second.
I genuinely don't think Richie Rod is in a chance to steal second right now. That gap going on, unless I'm misinterpreting hits and everything, it's gonna be really tough for Rod to just get up and just really just pump it.
And currently, we're taking a look into Hernandez, really trying to pile in the pressure. But of course, he tried to go for the wide line, but it didn't work. Basically, the car understeered against him, and that basically didn't work him any favors. Meanwhile, looking into Sheldon Reza's lap times right now, he's now back into the 131.2, so there is still a bit of hope for Sheldon Reza to basically steal something from this race.
There's still some hope and maybe the potential of a top 5 finish, but I think that unless the leaders have to be, I believe they don't have to pit again. And so I think best option for Sheldon Reza will potentially be a top 5 finish. It's obviously not going to run out of time. Like, you'd basically have to lap like 1 second faster than the leaders, like consistently, or even more, just to have a chance.
And currently, it is the case right now. We look into the lap times of some of the leaders here at the moment. They're lapping at around the high 132s. The low 132s, and Sheldon Reza is lapping at the low 131s, bordering on the 130s. So Sheldon Reza might still have a chance after all, as Sheldon Reza now catches up between the Porto and Richie Rod. The Porto is basically a lap traffic, and Richie Rod is basically a car on the lead lap. And now Sheldon Reza has more trouble heading his way.
As I've said, Shazzin's dream is starting to fade away for a first place finish right now after starting on pole, because it's just the offensive just isn't there. It's like relying on like pits, so it's a really weird strategy. I can't really comprehend. Or even if it is in the strategy, it's weird that there's like not as many offensives going on as there should be coming from Shazmin.
And now he's clearing the Porto, basically putting him again a lap down as well. Remember, the Porto is currently last in the standings at the moment. He's currently 21st and still a lap down. Last of the cars running in this race still, while the leaders are still holding on to their guns. And as you can see, the next car that has yet to be lapped is Callum Gibbons and Sean Paul. They're currently at Atwood. Hofumi's currently in the Mosses.
Yeah, so you know, I know I'm not going to get the championship and probably not any points, but I guess my hope is like maybe I could just stay on the lead lap, but I think that's very doubtful at this point. Still holding behind Paul at the moment, with Fumi catching up rapidly.
And looking into Gibbons right now, he is slowly catching up to Sean Pauli as well, but obviously Lexus versus Honda, the Honda is better on the straight slightly. But meanwhile, Bauer is also catching up into Lorenzo Ricci and Fumi. Fumi holding on to that race lead, but when Fumi gets to battle through basically traffic, it's going to be a tough day for him.
It is, but it seems that our leaders are passing traffic for the most part effortlessly, specifically at lap traffic, but for trying to just beat your fellow leaders, it's a little bit harder for that to happen, as I've seen just constant stalling and defenses and offensives that always end up in stalemates.
And currently, Sheldon Reza is already behind Richie Rod, and Richie Rod is behind Tony Bazinga, another two guys who are trying to battle against each other on two different strategies, being basically behind a lap car. And currently Tony Bazinga, who won the basically the qualifying race in spectacular fashion last time out, is going to hold up Shazin Rizza and Rod heavily, while Hernandez and MNL go side by side as they're behind the Porto, who is still a lap car.
Yeah, so lap cars once again playing influence into this race as the Hondas go side by side. I think they just avoid contact. Mendes going a bit wide, but still keeping it on the track, keeping it round the outside again, and still side by side heading down the main straight. But oh, Emmanuel, very good drive out the corner.
Even on the inside line, that is very good there from MNL in that number 8 Akai Hato Honda. Andrew Tacos that is now caught up to Kizuhara Leo. Kizuhara Leo's caught up into Captain Vasilio. It's lap traffic galore here in Okayama. If you're not impressed by this, then I don't know what will impress you. As Kizuhara Leo has a good toe, I think. Will he manage to clear? The answer will be no. Tacos will be sniffing for an opportunity.
It's gonna be yet another battle between the middle term. Yeah, just the middle in general. It's just constantly chaotic, and it seems we're just about to have another little mini war going on. As it would seem right now, as Shazman slowly tailing, might make a pass on Rod and nah. And might.
Yeah, he might be.
Bazinga and
meanwhile, okay, never mind that. Zeke, as we can see here, Eminol is trying to pass Mateus Wanda Porto, putting him on the lap down, basically lapping him, but he's going to be shuffling to the outside, but over the inside line. Will Joseph Hernandez steal the opportunity as well? The answer will be no, but Yosoro might have a run, but he's not close enough. Bauer is now caught up to Richie, who's losing touch to Fumi. What will happen to the basically leading three?
Yeah, leading three sort of breaking apart now. Fumi getting a bit of a margin out there now over 1 second as Bauer and Richie still going at it. As for Tokosled and Leo, still battling against the lap traffic and not really able to make inroads on them. So we've got like multiple little separate groups here, like separated by large margins. You've got like top three, then 27 seconds to 4th and 5th, and another 14 seconds to 6th and 7th. So it's a very spread out field.
And currently we're looking at Bauer, who is in that battle for second place against Richie. Richie is losing touch to Fumi. Fumi leading this race absolutely admirably. He won the first race at Boyram. Will he be able to bookend the season with a win in this race and a win at the championship? We'll have to wait and see, as we're now completed 37 laps. We're on lap 38. We are edging very closer to the conclusion of the Hololive GT3 Japan Series season.
Wait and see, we certainly are. Fumi just consistently just scoring at least decent lap times right now and doing a very good job at clearing lap traffic. At the moment, it's just overall, we're just starting the way, and Fumi's still pulling out.
And as you can see here, Daniel Bauer's tires are absolutely strong. You can see here on that tire, it's slightly graining due to the amount of tire wear that this tire has at the moment. Fumi is also closing into lap traffic. This will play a part on who will win this race. Snooks and Vasiliev basically battle for the silver spoon. Versus about for 18th place. Vasiliev versus Snooks. Vasiliev has the edge. The Prey has the edge over the Predator, as basically Kizuhara Leo and Tacos Led have cleared traffic and basically have the open clear air. And with Fumi, Richie, and Bao potentially being stuck in traffic, they might be in contention for the race win as well.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be a top three fight for the win here. I think with Leo 28 seconds behind, so I think even with lap traffic, is not really going to have the opportunity to potentially take the lead. But as for the top three, that group should compact back together as they approach lap traffic.
And looking into some of the drivers still in contention right now, Shazin Reza is still behind Richie Rod. Richie Rod is basically defending like an absolute a fox at the moment, if you want to call him that. And that's coming from Buki Nissan. Obviously, Shazin Reza is not looking very keen on being held up in the traffic even longer. As you can see here, Amina and Hernandez catching up as well. Rod is still holding on to 6th. Obviously, they're still on the lead line. They're battling for position. So Ross has no reason to give up 6 to Shazin Reza, even if they are on differing strategies.
Gonna be at least from my standpoint, it seems Richie Round is just doing an amazing job holding off all those cars just behind him right now. There's like 2 of them, and then I think he's about to be a 3rd. It's just an amazing job, and not really just risking it, completely content with 6th place, which is somewhat honorable in the chaotic world of Holo GT3.
And right now, Fumi has caught up into the lap traffic of Sean Pauli and Callum Gibbons at the moment, while Daniel Bauer and Lorenzo Ricci are keeping tabs of each other. Fumi is going to be held up by lap traffic, and this will probably allow for Kizuhara Leo and Andrew Takutla to likely close in, but will it close enough? Will it be close enough to the point where they can overtake? I doubt it, but as you can see here, MNL. Basically the gaps have definitely closed up on all of these drivers. It's going to be very chaotic in this final 14 laps of this race. And as you can see here, Demosthev is clearing himself of lap traffic against Deporto. Again, he's being left again. But Deporto is going to be putting up another fight once again. But that's not a fight we're going to need to pay attention to, because here we see Fumi now stuck behind lap traffic.
Yeah, take note of the gap right now, 2.9 seconds right now, so I just see that gap closes down as the lap goes on. As we go through now onto the back straights, caught in the slipstream behind the Lexus, so should have superior power and straight line speed, but I think he's gonna have a little look heading into the hairpin. Looks down the inside, hard braking, keeps it nice and tidy on the curb, and now heading for Revolver Corner. Lexus still keeping the nose in, well, my car exactly still keeping the nose in, so not really wanting to give it that position, even though it's not really a position.
And right now, the gap was 2.9 seconds, it's now 1.8 seconds. Fumi have definitely lost a second there against Callum Gibbons, as Callum Gibbons takes a lot of curve into the grass there, but it looks like Fumi has it clear, but it's not clear enough. They're still side by side, I think. Fumi, I think, is now just ahead, but he's now lost a good amount of gap. And now Gibbo is going to try to put in a good amount of fight, goes on 2 wheels, manages to keep the car on track.
So, desperate defense coming from Callum Gibbons right now. So, it's hopeless, but it's at least stalling. It's a decider within the champion standings right now. Really, every little battle counts for the most part, and who's going to win, who's going to lose, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be another hold-up for Richie and Bauer, I believe.
And currently, yeah, Bauer is definitely closing in into Richie right now. You can see the onboard for both of the rear ends of the car. You see Richie trying to defend for all he can for second place. Bauer has the faster car in the corners, but Richie has the advantage on the straights. Both of them canceling out each other's advantage. So it's basically I cannot tell who is going to be ahead of each other come the end of this race, because right now we only have 13th lap of the Hololive GT3 Japan Series postseason to go.
Yeah, not long to go at all, but I believe Fuma is now just I think maintaining around 1.3, 1.4 seconds. Actually, it's gone down a bit. No, I think it's just maintained there, so just sort of holding station as Richie and Bauer are going to approach that lap traffic.
And right now, Fumi is going to have a harder time passing Sean Pauli, because Sean Pauli's car is a Honda, has good cornering speed, and has a decent amount of power on the straights. And currently Fumi, only having that power on the straights, is going to struggle a bit against basically Sean Pauli. And meanwhile, Bauer pits for the second time. I don't think he has fuel enough, so he'll have to give up basically his second stint to basically go hard on his final stint.
So if Bauer has to pit, what does that mean for Fuma and Richie? Like, they definitely feel that was their fuel model. We're able to check.
Yeah, that is one thing that we need to pay attention, because they have pitted on lap 20, and I believe Bauer pitted a lap later. So Fumi and Richie are basically could be running on fumes there, and by running on fumes I mean running quite low on fuel. So this could turn heads in the championship battle if Shazin Reza can edge ahead of Fumi. So this could be a deciding factor in the championship on whether or not Fumi and Richie can hold on into their leads and basically hold on to their fuel.
This could definitely be just like a whole another podium if the fuel runs out. In general, like I'm looking at if Fumi and Rishi just run out of fuel, and let's be generous, say they get out around 6th and 7th, that would mean the podium would be Leo, Tuckersled, and Bauer. Bauer didn't really even lose position really if the pitting just if they have to pit, it could be like a whole different game basically.
And meanwhile, Andrew Tuckersled is getting close to Shizuharu Leo, both of them pitting quite late into this race, going for the extended first stint, and that has paid him off absolutely handsomely. As we want to take a look back into the progress chart, Shizuharu Leo started 6th, now up to 3rd. Tuckersled started 5th, up to 4th. Meanwhile, Eminel and Hernandez going side by side for position here. This could decide on who is going to finish 2nd, but with Richie Ross still in 6th and Shadows is still being held back, the championship is still pretty much wide open.
And one thing to note as well is that Bauer, I believe during the first stint, was behind Shazareza, but Shazareza being held up for so long, Bauer still exits out ahead and on very much fresher tyres, so if Fuma and Richie have to pit again, they're likely to appear ahead of Shazareza as well.
So remember, it's Fumi, and as you can see, Vasiliev also pitting as well. Basically the field is not going to be enough. Meanwhile, the Mazda has made clear runnings on Hernandez. Hernandez's chances of finishing 2nd in the championship standings has probably gone up in smoke at this rate, but he's not going to go out without a fight. That fight might go down for nothing, but at the very least he tried. So the Mazda up to 9th place. But meanwhile, for Richie and Fumi, it's going to be a question of if they are going to have to pit again or not, because the gap between them and Shazan Reza are still quite far, and Richie might still be able to win the championship.
So it's going to be maybe a bit of an overshot again if fuel just kind of runs out, but it seems Richie kind of has a whole plan going on inside his mind right now. I feel somewhat confident right now if I was in this situation right now. It's just kind of, you really gotta play your cards right.
And currently, if both Fumi and Richie have to pit, Kizuhara Leo might be able to inherit the race lead and get the win he sorely needs for Murasaki Shion. Remember, he has had multiple 2nd place finishes so far. He's one of the best drivers in Hololive GT3 to not win in that Murasaki Shion Honda. Yes, Kizuhara Leo has won in the Akai Hato Honda twice, but to win for his Oshi in that number 40 Murasaki Shion Honda as the Shioko himself, would that make Shion proud?
Yeah, very proud indeed. And Toto, obviously both in this sense, one question I have is that maybe they've gone pretty well on fuel so far, so maybe it's that the Lexus might just have the smaller fuel tank or more fuel consumption, resulting in having to pit. But for Fumi and Richie, maybe just able to stretch out this stint to the end.
But right now, Bauer is on the charts, already caught up to Tuckersled and Leo. They might have a chance to, Bauer has a chance to basically pounce into Tuckersled and Leo and might be in the contention for the race win. As you can see here, Leo now caught up into the back of Zeke Wimberly there. Zeke Wimberly down in 17th place and about to drop, still a lap down and about to be lapped by more cars as well. And Fumi currently still stuck behind Sean Pauly in that number 56 in the Kamikori Honda. It's going to be tense. It's going to be tense to see if Fumi is going to be able to hold on to his fuel come basically the end of this race.
On a side note of Zeke Wimberly, it seems he's kind of doing his own thing right now. Guaranteed 17th place as he is 30 seconds behind Gibbons and Bazinga, I got messed up a little bit, is currently about 14 seconds behind Wimberly, so it's pretty screw cruising.
Correct. And as you can see here, Callum Gibbons is gonna put up a massive fight for Hofumi. This is basically revenge for what happened in Suzuka. Tuckersled have basically overtaken Kizuhara Leo. This might be a battle for the race lead if these two have already pitted. But Kizuhara Leo manages to hold on to the race lead at the moment. Now, if you remember what happened in Suzuka, and before that, we need to take a look into Tuckersled and Bauer. Bauer trying to go around the outside. Bauer on the outside, and Atwood makes the move stick. Will the answer be yes? The answer is a resounding I don't know, because there are still side by side heading into the hairpin. Who's going to be coming out on top? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, Douglas is still holding the inside line. He's now actually having to be backed up by the Honda in front. So I think this battle packet slow is very much slower, really breaking early for the corner. It's allowed Leo to come back through, and it has actually sealed the move. Usually we see it side by side for a revolver, but no, it's actually sealed the move quite early.
And looking into Hernandez and Damasha, they're still battling. Hammer and Tom's 4th position there. This is a battle for 9th place. We are now close into the final 5 laps of this race. Fumi is still stuck behind Callan Gibbons. Callan Gibbons is going to try to overtake Sean Poli for the final point in this race at the moment. Fumi is still holding on into the race lead, but will he have enough fuel? That's the question that we are still going to have to ask. So Fumi having the degradation and basically losing a good amount, and now Andrew Toggleslet steals the race lead, but he will be stuck behind Zeke Wimberly, and there will be another ebb and flow heading into the final few laps of this race.
Well, it seems I'm finally important for once in one of these races, but it seems this lap traffic right now is just absolutely shifting the current 3rd place right now, and I'm pretty sure it might shift ahead, but it seems Toggleslet fairly competent enough to just stay ahead right now. Might even make pass on Zeke Wimberly within the future, but we still got Leo and Bauer still on the heels with the Bauer and Leo. It's currently doing, and then in the background we got Fox and Suharto kind of going at it. So a lot going on.
Yeah, a lot going on in the final stages of this race. Bauer is going to go for the double pass on Kizuhara Leo, and Andrew Toggleslet. Toggleslet is going to give a massive fight for that position as well. This could be the race lead if Ricci and Fumi pit for fuel. It will be an unfortunate case for them if they do, but it's a 3-pronged race for the final podium positions.
Yeah, Bauer hoping to hold it around the outside, and then we're turning into the inside. Despite the fresher tyres, gonna have a look on the inside. He's still able to hold down on the inside through the hairpin, now through the penultimate corner, still side by side. See if they can hold it together. No contact, very clean. Lexus bit struggling with traction there, but again still on the inside. 2 wheels again. With Lexus still having better traction out of the final corner. Nissan stood with the better straight line speed, but I think with that superior traction that Lexus just holds on to that position.
And currently it's Daniel Bauer's 3rd place right now. Jake Fox and Juan Suharto battle for 13th and 14th right now. Fox and Suharto side by side for position. Fox has the inside heading into Redmond, but it will be outside for Hobbs. But we'll have to pay attention to some of the other battles here as well. If Fumi can hold on to this race lead, remember, he will be Hololive GT3 champion. So it will be very fitting for the number 1 car, the first Hololive member, Tokino Sora, to get this championship. But we'll have to wait and see as we're getting close into the final 5 laps of the race and of the season.
This was waiting time slowly decreases. As you know, it seems more likely by the passing minute Fumi's got it in the bag, and with the little fuel blinker not showing up, it seems Fumi is going to be racing comfortably for the last few laps of this race. It's a lot going on right now within the middle. It's Taco's like possibly just past the lap car right now, which could be huge for him. It's Nissan versus Nissan right now, I believe.
And Lexus versus Honda there, and as you can see here, deep braking there for Tacos to go around the outside. That was a massive move there to lap Zeke Wimberly, and this will be crucial for the battle for 3rd and the possible battle for a race win, as Daniel Bauer is going to try to clear out Zeke Wimberly. Will there be contact? The answer will be no. They are keeping it together. They're keeping a distance together. Zeke Wimberly going on the outside as Daniel Bauer hops on to the curb, going 2 wheels once again. Now they are probably clear Zeke Wimberly.
Now they've cleared, but now Leo's having a look down the inside, using a spirit shot and speed, sticks the nose in, but isn't really able to finish the move. Doesn't really have that traction coming out. The Shazam Reds are still again stuck behind lap traffic, so I think that dream of a win has surely slipped away. As for the top 2, I think they're just safe on fuel. You wouldn't really want to.
We're looking at a battle for the race lead here at the moment. As you can see, Jake Fox and Callum Gibbons going side by side at the moment. This is the battle for the championship, possibly. If let's see, Fumi is currently being held up a lot by basically the lap cars in front. Richie is looking, sniffing for an opportunity.
It's just a game of mind games right now. Just waiting for the perfect time to strike. All passive right now, but just waiting, just like a cobra, just waiting for it to strike right now, and it's not yet, but it's gonna happen soon, whether it's failed or not. Rishi is going to try.
Oh, he just went wide. Just went wide there, Lorenzo Ricci, trying to pass Jake Fox, and that's gonna hamper his chances there. Now we're into the final 5 laps of this race. The battle is gonna be extremely rough. The championship will go down to the wire. And to see who will be edging ahead, as you can see, Fumi finally going alongside Callum Gibbons. Side by side into the hairpin. Try to go for the double move against Thomas Snooks as well. Takes a lot of curve there, goes off on its side a bit, drifts just a bit. And oh, he goes off wide, takes into the gravel. Still sticks it around the outside, as does Lorenzo Ricci. This could go down to the wire as to who is going to win this race.
Yeah, this is like what happened in Fuji in the closing stages. Lap traffic playing a heavy influence into the leading order. As Denison tries to go inside of the Lexus and now has to go through the penultimate corner as well. Lexus is not giving up, even though it's not for position. Squirrely there. That's Richie's very much right behind now.
And as you can see here, Gibbons, he is basically exacting vengeance for what happened in Suzuka. Fumi held up Gibbons to prevent Gibbons from winning the championship, given the win for Okayama, who was in the Lamy Honda. Gibbons is going to pay him back just as well for what happened at Suzuka. This race at Okayama. So, karma for what happened, apparently.
I'm not a historian. I have no idea what's going on with the mentions of his old races, but I'll just go along with it. It's a lot going on. Richie's is just so close to Fumi right now. It's only like 0.49 gap right now, I believe. It's very close. And in the background right now, we got Damashnev and Hernandez right now just going at it right now. It's gonna be a little bit close, especially going into the traffic ahead. You want to make a move, you're gonna want to make it now.
When right now Fumi is gonna try to clear Snooks, but Richie hasn't cleared Callum Gibbons just yet. Snooks is gonna put him in a good fight once again. He might go 2 laps down, I think. And as you can see here, Richie is on the inside of Fumi. This is a battle for the race lead. They're all, both Nissans are going side by side. The battle for the race win will go down to the bitter end as Callum Gibbons finally loses the spot. He's finally lapped by Fumi, but right now the one thing that stands between Fumi and the championship and the race win is Thomas Snooks, and if they can clear them as soon as possible.
And as we're into the control line, we're now on lap 52, so 3 laps to go. And they're in the 1:36, but they don't have to worry about lap times. I assume they don't have to pit again, and they don't have to worry about time because they're still 36 seconds behind. So all this is about is track position. I don't care about lap times, I don't care about hot lapping. It's just all about track position and clearing that traffic.
And right now, Fumi is currently holding on into the back of Thomas Snooks there. He's still being held up, but will he have the better exit to clear Snooks? Will it open the door for Lorenzo Ricci to steal a win on his final Hololive GT3 start? Fumi goes down the inside. But will it be close? The answer will be yes. And I think he has the nose, but Snooks will have to fight back as well. They're not going to give it on the platter. As you can see here, Snooks really trying to stick that nose in. Forces him to go around the outside. The answer is still yes. Fumi is still trying to get himself against Snooks, but right now Richie still has Gibbons to clear. This is going to be a massive battle that will go down to the wire here. Snooks holding on into the outside. And now Fumi is now clear. Richie still has lap traffic against him. Fumi will have breathing room.
Richie's got to strike really soon right now. It's just going to be a disaster right now, just going in second place, almost making it to first. It's just barely losing by an inch right now. So if he's going to want to make a move, he's going to want to make it right about now, as we're getting into like the final 2 laps right now. And speaking of the final 2 laps, we got within those laps, we got Mitja and Eminal, I believe, fighting for position right now. It's more about honor right now than points, but it's still a battle nonetheless.
And currently, Richie is going to try to clear as much as he can against lap traffic. He's going to be very desperate there, as Fumi now has the clear air and will look to open his gap against his fellow Gen 1 teammates, Lawrence Richie and Andrew Takosle. It will look to be a Gen 0 podium sweep. Nissan 1, 2, 3. And with Fumi leading the penultimate lap of the Hololive GT3 season, Fumi has all the weight on his shoulders, representing the original member of Hololive, the first Hololive member to grace the streaming platforms, Tokino Sora. Fumi has only over 1 1/3 of a lap to make history.
Fumi really capitalized on having that clear. That gap is nearly 4 seconds already, so I think 4 seconds a lap faster than Richie, and I think it's still not cleared that lap traffic. So I think even if I think he's looks like he's just he still has not cleared it yet. So I think it is gone as we now enter the final lap of the season.
One more lap for the Hololive GT3 Japan Series. It's been very fun to stream this series from start to finish for the 2022 season. There has been a lot of ups and downs in the series, such as this car winning one of the first races of the season, as Hernandez passes the Mashlev once again for position. They're still battling side by side. Basically, we have seen the revolving door drivers in this car. Our Gabriel Ariane raced this car for the first 4 rounds of the season before being replaced by Hofumi, who is just as good as Gabriel Ariane in the car. He might just be better because he is currently going to get win number 3 in the Hololive GT3 Japan Series at this rate. So, obviously, it has been a very wonderful story. It has been so far.
Clearly, it's just the overall just amazing consistency and amazing driving coming from Hofumi right now. Honestly, I should have seen this coming. It was the most kind of obvious choice, but I still wanted to root for the underdog, you know, just in case, you know, it might have actually happened. And it didn't, but still, amazing driving coming from all these drivers here on the track today.
Fumi, representing the original member of Hololive, Tokino Sora, has had to endure multiple hardships to basically build Hololive from the ground up alongside Motoaki Tanigo, aka Yago, and her fellow friend Ichan. And Hofumi is gonna channel all that spirit, the struggle, the achievement, the accomplishment. Hofumi has one corner, and he has basically navigated it smoothly and perfectly, capping off an amazing season for Hofumi. He takes the win in Okayama, and with it, the 2022 Hololive GT3 Japan Series Championship.
Absolute dominating performance for the last few laps, just crucially clearing out lap traffic as Richie finishes second, and Tycho Slade and Bauer still battling out for the final podium position. That championship is set, but the podium is not. Bauer, I think, just too far back to go for a move, so it's Tycho Slade to take the final podium position with Bauer in 4th.
And right now, Taco's Light will guarantee his spot in 3rd place right now, making it a Gen 0 sweep and a Nissan sweep right now. They have every reason to be proud of. Bauer 4th, Leo 5th, Rod 5th. Sheldon Rizzo tried to put out a good fight starting on pole position, but went on aggressive on that on that 2-stop strategy, but was held up by traffic. And at the end of the day, it just wasn't enough for Sheldon Rizzo to steal the championship, despite having the best call all round. He has to settle for 7th. Whatever the case is, it's a battle well fought for everyone here in Hololive GT3.
A lot of stuff just went on in this race. Just constant battle, pandemonium. We even had our own little miniature splits going on in the backs and everything. But it was mostly just the battle between Richie and Hofumi within the front to see who would really win. And just Richie was, I'd argue, too patient, just not aggressive enough to just take that lead. And even then, still, 2nd place really isn't that bad, yo. It's better than my 17th place.
And look at everyone congratulating Hofumi when they get back into the pits. Hofumi is gonna be celebrating like it's no tomorrow. Hofumi is your 2022 Hololive GT3 Japan Series champion. What a battle it has been, and what a season it has been, as we're going to transition over into the race result to sell everything once and for all. Here is the race results. Hofumi fought from start to finish to win a very dominant championship, and it has been a well fought battle from start to finish for Hofumi to basically hold on to the championship lead heading into the final round, and to basically pull off an immaculate race to basically take the championship for the first time basically this season and all that stuff. And right now we're going to be taking a look into the trophy once again. We're going to be etching his name as it stands. Lorenzo Ricci in the final Hololive GT3 start. Obviously doing very well for him as well. Apologies if the frames was dropping here on, as you can see at the moment. Finished second in his final Hololive GT3 start. Basically the Hoshiyomis will be proud, as well as Hoshimaki Suisei. And the Takale caps off another good run in the podium in the ASCII Nissan. Obviously ASCII will also be very proud. Gen Zero will be very proud as well. So that is basically that settled. Daniel Bauer in the Yosormel Lexus finishes 4th. Kizuhara Leo again finishes inside the top 5 in that Murasaki Shion Honda. And then we have Richie Rod in that number 22 Shirakami Fubuki Nissan. Obviously doing very well for him as well. Shaden Riza in the number 31 Himimura in Luna Honda. Anthony Emanol in the Akai Hato Honda finishes 8th. Rosa Hernandez in 9th in the Sakaramiko Honda. Vaza Demashnev in the number 19 Aki Rosenthal Lexus. Hansari Heinz finishes 11th in the Ozarsport Lexus. Jeff Clark in the Akaneki IMA Lexus finishes 12th. Wallace Harto is 13th in the Shiranui Flair Lexus. And then looking at 14th, Sean Pauli in that Inugami Korone Honda. So obviously very good there for him. And then we also have Callum Gibbons in that Robocall Lexus. Despite being tangled at the start, manages to hold on into the win, basically holding on to the points at the very least as consolation for his contact with Aquamarine Jensen, which basically have him tumble down the order. Jake Fox in the Hosha Marine Lexus in 16th. Zig Wimberly did very decently in the Hakoi Quarry Nissan with a send-off for the concept Gen 6 cars, as well as Tony Bazinga in the Kazuma Iroha Nissan in 18th. Mateus Wonderport in his final Hololive GT3 start, not the race that he wanted, will finish 19th. And then Catherine Vasilyev in 20th in that Usada Pecora Honda. Thomas is the last car on track in that Shishiro Bota Lexus, and then Aquamarine Jensen had contact at the start of the race, is out of it, is the only DNF on this race, but manages to pull off an amazing rookie season still. So what you have to watch out for him in next season, because it will be very spicy to see what Jensen can do heading into the next season. We're going to transition over into the replay to see what happened at the start of the race. So we're gonna go basically take a look into Jensen's onboard here to see what happened to him. So we're gonna need to check on what happened. We're gonna go on board with Aquamarine Jensen on the start. So Gibbo, what do you make of this incident?
I see, decent start there. I think a little bit wheel spin. Yeah, it's kind of bogged down a bit. It's overtaken by the Lexus 7. Lexus had the superior traction off the starts, heading around the R side into turn 1, and yep, spin up and just whacked. So possibly suspension damage, and the race is over immediately.
And looking at the onboard for Callum Gibbons again, we're going to be taking a look on his perspective here. So obviously, here's the onboard of the number 64 Robocall Lexus. Let's see what happened here. Get a very good launch there. And let's see who makes contact. Oh, Yoso Hernandez, you can see that in his mirrors there. Tried to go down the inside, trying to make it 3 wide. Made contact, tried to correct the car. Then bangs doors with the Aqua Nissan. So it's been very ugly. So Yoso Hernandez basically was involved in that incident. Let's look at the replay once again. So here is the race start. Here's Yoso Hernandez's onboard. Zeke, what are your thoughts about this?
I'm blank right now. I'm tired. It's like 9:43. I've made so many bad decisions over the last 2 days. I'm scared.
And as you can see, we can go for multiple angles here as well to see what has happened on the start. Here is the outboard angles to see what happened with the start here. As you can see here, Yosoro, yeah, really went too deep there. Spun out Gibbons, and that collected Aquamarine Jensen. Aquamarine Jensen was the unfortunate bystander of this incident. So obviously very unlucky for Jensen to be involved in this incident.
Yeah, very unlucky indeed with an ambitious dive into the first corner, especially on lap 1 very early into the race. Not really want to make those kind of moves, and I wonder if that's grounds for potential post-race penalty.
Yeah, we're gonna need to pay attention to that, but we'll be updating it on Adak-RMS Twitter as it goes. And as it stands right now, we will be presenting the trophy to Hofumi for basically his championship win. And here it is. With his name etched into the trophy, here is Hofumi winning the 2022 Hololive GT3 Japan Series, and with his name on the board, he officially wins the Hololive. Yeah, we did mention it. He wins the Japan Series overall. So congratulations to Hofumi for winning the championship. So we're gonna need to get back into the replay. So now second the replay to see the final championship standings of the 22 drivers who have made it to the main race. It's not the full standings, but it will give you a good image to see where the championship leaders end up. And at this rate, we will only be showing the top 10, as it's basically incomplete championship standings. Whatever the case is, it has been a very wonderful from start to finish. But whatever the case is, we're gonna need to take a look into the championship. And as you can see here, it's quite weird to see the championship standings here at the moment. So here it is. Fumi with 500 points. It's actually 508. For Lorenzo Ricci only having 449. Richie Rory with 372. Tacos Led 362. Daniel Bauer 330. Yosor Hernandez 327. Shadriza lost 6 actually to Yosor Hernandez. Aquamarine Jensen drops down to 8th. Hans-Henrik Heinz to 9th place. Anthony Emanuel is in the top 10. We're going to be showing you the final championship standings in the Adak-RMS Twitter. This is only light indication because the championship standings are not considered final. But whatever the case is, we'll be keeping everyone back up to date at the Adak-RMS Twitter. Whatever the case is, and we hope everyone have enjoyed the series from start to finish. We'll be returning in March for the 2023 Hololive GT3 Japan Series season. We'll be coinciding with the Hololive 4 Festival. We'll be streaming on the basically the afternoon before the main event. So hopefully everyone can tune in into the stream by then, but until then we'll have the international series to tackle. So with that out of the way, I'm Muhammad Shadin Riza, and alongside me is the wonderful cast members, the basically the media members, the commentators, the super fans that consist of Callum Gibbons, Catherine Vasiliev, Aaron Mazzi, Ben Ripton, Emerson Kurt, Jeff Clark, and Sean Pauly making up the super fans. And as for the media production team, we are including Fawaz Mori as well. And as for the commentators and basically also the supporters all around, Wawan Suharto, Zeke Wimberly, as well as Hanaori Miyuki. We thank everyone for tuning into the stream, and you've been watching the 2022 Hololive GT3 Japan Series.